Today we will be installing new front struts on a 2013 Ford Focus. In the box you will find the left front strut and the right front strut, along with the installation instruction pamphlet. These are the recommended tools for the job, however this job can be completed with basic hand tools if necessary. An electric impact, an electric ratchet, a 3/8 ratchet, a 3/8 torque wrench, a 1/2 inch torque wrench, a 1/4 inch ratchet, a small pry bar, a 1/2 inch extension, a ball joint tensioner, a 19mm socket, 15mm socket, 10mm long socket, 17mm socket, a TX30 socket, an 8mm socket, a 10mm short socket, a 1/2 inch 13mm socket, and a 3/8 13mm socket. You will also need a jack to lift the car. We'll be using this transmission jack to help lift the steering knuckle, however you can use a normal floor jack if that's what you have available. Grab your 19mm socket and respective ratchet and break your lug nuts loose in a star pattern while the car is on the ground. Do not loosen them all the way. Lift the vehicle. Now take the lug nuts the rest of the way off and remove the wheel. Grab your 8mm socket and respective ratchet and remove the brake line clip. Now grab your 15mm socket and remove the sway bar end link nut. Remove the wheel speed sensor located behind the hub. Then remove the wire bracket and the end link. Grab your 15mm socket and remove the bolt from the bottom of the shock absorber mount. Then use your ball joint tensioner to spread open the mount. Then you will use your jack to apply upwards pressure on the shock absorber and remove it from its mount. Then lower the vehicle enough to access the engine bay, open the hood, and insert the hood prop. Now we will need to remove the windshield wiper cowl. First, grab your TX30 bit and use it to remove the screws holding in the cowl. Then remove the covers from either side. Remove the rubber strip attached to the cowl. Next, use your small pry bar to remove the 4 clips holding down the cowl. Now go ahead and grab your 13mm socket and remove the 2 bolts holding in the shock absorber on top. Use your 10mm socket to remove the bolt holding in the lower cowl, lift the lower cowl, and remove the last 13mm bolt holding in the shock assembly. You can now remove your old shock absorber and we can start the installation of the new shock absorber. Since we're working on the driver's side of the vehicle, we will grab the left shock and insert it into its spot. Using one hand to hold it in place, thread the 3 13mm mounting bolts into the top. Grab your 13mm socket and tighten the 3 bolts to 35 Nm or 26 foot-pounds. Insert the shock body into its mounting clamp and loosen the ball joint tensioner. Then thread in the 15mm bolt and tighten it to 60 Nm or 44 foot-pounds. Reinstall the brake line bracket and tighten it down with your 8mm socket. Now reinstall the sway bar end link and wheel speed sensor bracket. Tighten the 15mm nut to 60 Nm or 44 foot-pounds. Now plug in the wheel speed sensor. Now reinstall the 10mm bolt holding in the lower cowl. Then you can install the TX30 screws, and then the 4 plastic clips. Now you can reinstall the weather stripping, and finally the plastic covers. Now you can put the hood down. Make sure to clip the hood prop back into its spot. Finally, put your wheel back on, thread on your lug nuts, and tighten them down in a star pattern. After doing so, lower your car onto the ground and torque your lug nuts in a star pattern to 130 Newton meters or 96 foot-pounds. And you're done.